What's up, guys, and welcome back to the Holocron Radio podcast. I'm your host, Grandmaster Jordan, and it's good to see you guys for a wonderful episode 8. As you can see, I am not recording in my usual place. I am currently in Texas, recording from my hotel room. I decided to record a little bit later in the week. Usually I record Mondays or Tuesdays or whatever the case may be, but I decided to record as I'm out of town. Wanted to get some stuff done, wanted to get the episode kind of rewrote and go into detail about what we're going to be talking about this week. So again, good to see you guys. We're going to start off this week. So I have become, uh, I've as I'm doing this, I've become far more aware that there's a lot of Star Wars communities out there that likes, like Discords and stuff like that. So I've become a part of a Star Wars Discord. Um, Shout out to Supreme Leader Londo. They are that's the leader of the Discord that I'm in, and I've met some really cool people in that group. I share ideas. They kind of helped me with this episode this week, so shout out to them. Um, it came across my thing. So really quickly, I want to talk about the state of Star Wars. And when I say the state of Star Wars, I think we talk about this at least once a week. But, you know, what really got me into Star Wars was the fact of the matter is that I started reading the books. At the time, I was like 8th grade. My cousin was married to a guy, and he was heavily into Star Wars books. And so he had like a whole collection, and this is around 20, I'd say 2010, 2009, 2010. So I'm like 8th grade, 14 years old, whatever the case may be. And I start reading. So I start reading. I'm like, oh man, this is good. And I became immersed. And then he started telling me the lore of Star Wars. And I started watching the movies. I got into it huge. Like I got into it very hugely. Fast forward. Here we are now. Obviously, Star Wars podcaster, great. Um, I start watching a guy on YouTube. His name's the Lore Master. Really great person to watch if you're trying to get into Star Wars, if you want any type of knowledge. He has amazing videos. Shout out to the Lore Master. Um, I have come up to a conclusion that the Star Wars fan base is divided into 4 categories. And the reason why I divided them into 4 categories is because I feel like the person in our group today said something that was funny to me. They said there's no such thing as there's no such thing as a Star Wars hater unless it's from a Star Wars fan, or a Star Wars fan is the biggest Star Wars hater, something like that, around those lines, right? And they're right. Star Wars fans are some of the biggest haters of their own verse. And I think the other thing, like I said, Star Wars is the most divided fan base when it comes to fiction. And it's not divided for the right reasons, if that makes sense, right? When you think of a fan base, right? I always use this as an example. I'm gonna use an example again. When you think of Harry Potter, the fan base is usually divided over whose house is who. Whose house are you in? That's where the fan base is divided. Or who can win what, whatever the case may be. But it's not a toxic divide. It's not no. Uh, I think the only toxic thing is just what J.K. Rowling has to say about trans people and everything like that. I think that's where the divide is. Another fan base that I'm a big reader growing up. So Percy Jackson. Percy Jackson is the only divide between the Percy Jacksons is what I'm seeing now is the live action show, the movies, and the books. A lot of the Percy Jackson fan base collectively will tell you that, a big majority of them will tell you, me included, that the movies were trash. Then it gets kind of divided when it comes to the new Percy Jackson series that's on Disney Plus. Um, I personally like it. Some diehard book purists do not. To each their own opinion, but then it's not a toxic divide. In Star Wars, it's a very toxic divide, and it's only gotten worse over the last years. Over the last couple of years, it's gotten very bad. Here's the 4 categories that I've divided Star Wars fans into. So I divided Star Wars fans. We're going to start with Star Wars fans. That is the first group. Now, Star Wars fans, in my head, are the Star Wars people that can accept the good, the bad, and the ugly within Star Wars and appreciate the works that came before, whatever the case may be. They're the complete package. I would consider myself a Star Wars fan because I love Legends, but I also enjoyed some of the stuff that Disney has brought out. Like I cannot stress enough. And I'm also one of those Star Wars fans that I will sit down and watch everything. I will sit down and read everything. I'm a little behind on the High Republic series right now, so I need to catch up. But other than that, I am very in depth into the Star Wars thing. So everything that comes out, whatever the case may be, I watch it, I give it a chance, see if I like it. I go read it, see if I like it, give it a chance. That is what I think a true fan should do. And I would consider myself a Star Wars fan. Then we jump to the George Lucas purist. The George Lucas purists, to me, are some of the most toxic fans because they will only accept the word of George Lucas as it is. And these are the same people that has never picked up a Legends book, that has never watched um, episode 7, 8, or 9. They don't even care to go see Mandalorian and Grogu. They only care about the first 6 movies because that's what George Lucas made, and after that, it was nothing. And those type of fans, they hang on every single word that George Lucas says. George Lucas purists and here's the thing. I get it. I get wanting to acknowledge the creator of the Star Wars universe, but at the same time, he didn't develop the Star Wars verse as we know it without the help of these other authors, these other writers, these other artists. Like all these people came together to create what we know as the Star Wars universe, whether you believe in Legends or you believe in canon, whatever the case may be. Now, I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but I do feel like, especially if you are a short-sighted person and have only seen episodes 1 through 6 and nothing else in that bubble, you're in a bubble. And I think it's okay to branch out. I think it's okay for you to get out of that bubble. You could keep your opinions about the 1 through 6 movies, but I think you can't make an argument about anything else if you've never watched it or gave it a chance. So that's my thing. Our next fans are the Disney fans. The Disney fans are, I'm going to say it's these fans that have come to love Disney for everything they put out because it's the Star Wars content they like, and they don't care about the writing or anything like that. They just think that, oh, well, this is what it is. And the Disney fans are funny because they're very toxic towards the Legends fans. And the reason why I say that is because Disney's like, well, they decanonized that, so you don't need to worry about that. Like, god dang, like, can we not enjoy what is still out there? I got into an argument with a Disney fan because they were like, the Thrawn trilogy isn't canon, okay? Still one of the greatest written Star Wars trilogies of all time. Probably should have adapted the Thrawn trilogy for the the trilogy sequel instead of wasting him away on the Ahsoka show. Sorry, not sorry. And it just blew up into a whole argument thing to where it's like, this is my opinion, this is your opinion. And I respect your opinion, but you're not respecting mine. And that's the whole thing that I've come to realize with Disney fans, and I don't appreciate them for. And then the last fan base is Legends fans. Legends fans can be very toxic too. I have to admit that. I miss the Legends as much as the next person who is a Legends person. You know, I have a friend on TikTok. She's currently writing and directing um, a fan film for Alana Solo. Can't wait to see that. I'm writing a fan fiction about the after effects of the the uh the Legends universe. Like, you know, the Legends universe was very important to a lot of Star Wars fans, and it still hurts to this day that Disney kind of just ripped it away. But the thing of it is with Legends fans, now these are the guys who won't give nothing Disney a chance. Nothing. I am in a Facebook group dedicated to Legends. The Legends universe, that's it. And when I bring up anything Disney, the first thing they remind me is this is a Legends group. We don't want that blasphemy in here. Like, whoa, calm down. You act like I killed Jesus or something. I'm just here to state my opinion. And they're not as toxic as Disney fans, but they're toxic. And when you get all four of these people, it's a funny situation because you could get all four of these guys in a room, all four of these fans in a room, and nothing will get done. The debate will not get resolved. No one will see the issue between one another. None of that. I think it's the funniest situation ever. And the reason why I'm calling it out is because, like, I think as Star Wars fans, we need to figure out a way to, like, start remembering why we love Star Wars, what brought us to Star Wars, and understanding why somebody else might like something other than what you like. And I think once we start doing that, we'll see less toxicity, less masculinity, less what do you call it? Well, toxic masculinity, um, less people shaming the actors, less just, you know, just actually giving things a try. Um, that's the type of fan base I think for Star Wars. Star Wars has taught us that no matter what type of walk of life you come from, you deserve equality. And that's the whole thing with that's the premise of Star Wars. And if we can't recognize that, then you know what, we watched two different things. So I'm gonna leave it at that. Anyways, guys, we're gonna jump into the Star Wars facts of the week, or fact of the week, sorry, whatever. Trakata was a forbidden lightsaber technique by both Sith and Jedi. The style involved turning the lightsaber on and off during combat and was considered a very dirty way of fighting. Notable users are Tahiri from Legends and Quimir from The Acolyte. Do you know how crazy your do you know how your lightsaber technique, how bad this thing is if the Sith bans it? This seems something the Sith would do, but nah, the Sith are like, we want to straight up fade too, so like we're not gonna do that. That is a crazy situation. And the reason why the reason why it's crazy to me because like this seems something like a Sith would do. But if the Sith are like, nah, this is dishonorable, then it's like, oh snap, this might be a bad move. But it's funny because like if you one of the few like redeeming qualities of the Acolyte is some of the lightsaber combat, and Quimir was just like battling Daphne Keen's character, and he did that. I was like, he used Trakata. That's crazy work. Yeah, that's not a, that's more than that's more than a crazy move to do. But yeah, that isn't that funny? The Sith bans it. I think that's pretty funny. Like what? All right, we're gonna jump into our main topic today. So, our main topic today is the top 10 lightsaber duels in Star Wars. The way I did this, I took every single lightsaber duel I can find, I remembered, whatever the case may be, and I put them in this pool. And I start looking at them. I start YouTubing them. I've probably gone over like 15 to 30 hours of lightsaber combat just this week, which is why this episode took so long, because I was researching. And then I asked the group that I'm in, I asked them, you know, oh Cloud City. That's what they're called. They're called Cloud City. That's the Discord. Go join if you're a Star Wars fan. Yay. But anyways, so I finally narrowed it down. I got it down. And man, some of these lightsaber duels is crazy top notch. And we're going to go through them each. So at number 10, I did Darth Vader versus Sayer Junda in Jedi Survivor. Okay, this one is a video game. I get it. But if you play Jedi Survivor and after you battle Darth Vader and you get that epic cutscene where they're just going at it, there was a moment where I'm just like, Seer won. And then Darth Vader's like, oh no, I was just aura farming. He aura farming in the flames. He kills her. Oh my gosh. It's an emotional battle too. Because everything she worked for to help surviving Jedi and the people around is just in flames. And Darth Vader just being the aura farmer he is just like, yeah, I'm here. The work, you thought you stopped my work? Nah, of course. And everyone's just like, oh, he survived. Of course he survived. It's Darth Vader, but whatever. So yeah, this is a must see, must do battle in Star Wars. I have to get with that. At number 9, we have Yoda versus Count Dooku in Attack of the Clones. Okay. This is number 9. This was a very hard one because it was boiled down between this one and another video game spot, but I gave it to this one. I gave it to this because, like, we got to see Yoda fight for the very first time. We've never seen that until Attack of the Clones. And here's the thing. Attack of the Clones has a lot of faults, mostly the dialogue. But what you cannot knock Attack of the Clones for is that third act. Once we get to Geonosis, it's raps. That movie is peak once you get to Geonosis. I get it. The beginning of the movie, acts 1 and 2, boring. They could have done better with Anakin Skywalker's dialogue. Cannot put that on Hayden Christensen because that was the dialogue he was given, and he acted just the way an awkward 19-year-old kid would act. I just want to point that out. But when we saw Yoda pull up, when Count Dooku was on his, doing his thing, and he had just cut off Anakin Skywalker's arm, and then he just injured Obi-Wan Kenobi, and Yoda's like, and he drops the cane, pulls out his lightsaber, and they just get active. Count Dooku had to run because he knew he couldn't beat Yoda, his old master. You can't beat, and the Grand Master of the Jedi, you're not beating him. You're not beating Yoda, you're Count Dooku. Of course he booked it out of there, and I appreciate that fight. That fight was awesome. Like, let's look at it. All right, at number 8, we have Obi-Wan Kenobi versus Darth Maul in Rebels. Okay, if you've seen Star Wars Rebels, and if you haven't, I recommend you go watch the series. If you have, you know this fight. This was a legendary fight because it brought their legendary rivalry to a close for good. And yes, it was short. This fight lasted less than 10 seconds, if that. But what made this fight so good is the dialogue before and after it. And we got to see that this Obi-Wan Kenobi, like, we got to see in Sam Witwer's, the guy that plays Darth Maul, in his words, we got to see the transition of Obi-Wan between Ewan McGregor and I cannot think of the guy that played him in in New Hope, but we got to see the transition between young Obi-Wan, old Obi-Wan, and how he has risen above what the expectations was. And the thing about Obi-Wan Kenobi that you have to understand is that Obi-Wan Kenobi, through the faults of the Jedi, he was the perfect Jedi. And that is we will talk about that in another episode, but that's a whole different situation. But that was an awesome fight. And number 7, we have Ahsoka Tano we have Ahsoka Tano versus Darth Vader, also in Rebels. Man, that fight was crazy. Because Ahsoka going against her former master, realizing what he has become and what she has to do, and she's just going crazy with it. He's going crazy with it, and then the dialogue just brought it home. When she broke open his mask and she was like, "I won't leave you," and then he was like, "Then you will die." Peak cinema right there. Peak cinema right there. Gotta give it to him. Gotta give it to him. At number 6, we have Obi-Wan Kenobi versus Darth Vader in the Kenobi show. Here's the thing about the Kenobi show. It's slow-paced. It has its action moments. It has its moments, whatever the case may be. It doesn't follow the book like people wanted it to, like the Legends Kenobi book, whatever the case may be. I don't care about that right now. All I care about the fact of the matter is that we got the rematch that we deserved. We got the rematch that we deserved. Because the crazy thing of it is, this battle had to be seen because of two factors. One, we had to see it because we needed to know where Darth Vader was at that point to see if he could do what he needed to do against Obi-Wan Kenobi. Obviously not. But number two is it was dropped in the New Hope. Obi-Wan, we meet again. Okay. And then he says, when I had left you, you were the master. But now I am the master. Pause. Because for 30 something years, 20, 30 years, we thought it meant after the fact of when Obi-Wan and Anakin Skywalker goes, we thought it was that. We didn't know they met again. Here it is. They did meet again, and this was the fight. Awesome. Very awesome fight. Very emotional fight. Probably one of the emotional fights in Star Wars history. There's that. I take that back. We go to number 5. One of the most emotional fights of all time is Luke Skywalker versus Darth Vader in Return of the Jedi. I debated if I was going to do Luke Skywalker versus Darth Vader in Empire Strikes Back. I decided not to. The reason why is because this one had the emotional payoff that we wanted to see. Luke Skywalker struggling to figure out if he's going to redeem his father or kill him, whatever the case may be. The lightsaber fight was awesome. This is how you do it. There was no way the Emperor was like, he had everything mapped out. He's knowing these two are going to go at it, and it was amazing. And that fight still holds up to this day. Return of the Jedi really, other than the Ewok thing, whatever the case may be. Other than that, I mean, no, I'm sorry, Ewoks. I don't need y'all to come Ewok hunt me. Please don't. Anyways, that fight was awesome. It had the emotional payoff that it deserved because we finally got to redeem, Anakin Skywalker, bring him back. So that's why that fight has to be there. It has to. Number 4. Obi-Wan Kenobi and Qui-Gon Jinn versus Darth Maul in The Phantom Menace. Man, you can say whatever you want about The Phantom Menace. You can say whatever. But what you're not going to say is that we didn't see one of the greatest lightsaber duels of all time. One of the greatest lightsaber duels of all time. And that's why it's here in top 5. Because that duel was crazy. The music's going crazy. I'm sorry. You had John Williams in the booth doing this on the record player with the music while these two going at it with a Sith Lord who hasn't been seen for over 1,000 years. Anyways, but then you get Qui-Gon unfortunately struck down. Obi-Wan has to do what he has to do, and he's going at it. Ta, 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 ta. And then we get the biggest flip, cut, gone. Of course, Darth Maul comes back as to be one of the biggest menaces and everything like that, but that's besides the point. This was a cold moment in Star Wars history. But number 3 might just be a little bit colder. At number 3, Ahsoka Tano versus Darth Maul. One of the best choreographed and visual fights of all time, and one of the best fights in the Clone Wars of all time. This is during the Siege of Mandalore. Ahsoka Tano comes back as an aide to the Jedi. Not as a Jedi, but as an aide to the Jedi. As she confronts Darth Maul. What makes this fight so compelling is that Darth Maul is literally trying to warn her about what's about to happen. He expects to see Anakin. It's her. And he's like, nah. The galaxy's doomed. Everything's about to fall and everything. And just like Maul was predicting, what happens? Everything falls. The Empire rises. And their fight is legendary. Legendary. Read my lips. Legendary. Of course, this has to be number 3. After I watched that fight, I had to contemplate if it's not the best fight in Clone Wars. And it is. It's one of the best fights in Clone Wars. Now we're going on to number 2. At number 2, I have Yoda versus Darth Sidious in Revenge of the Sith. Come on. You knew this fight was going to be on here. The Grandmaster of the Jedi versus the Sith Lord of the Sith. And man, that fight was spectacular, man. That fight was great. Like, there's not enough that can be said about that fight. You just have two powerful beings going head to head in a showdown that gave way to the ultimate evil in the galaxy, unfortunately. So there's that. Before I mention my number 1, there is an honorable mention that I left off of here. It didn't pay me to do so, but I had to. It is what it is. But Darth Sidious versus Darth Maul and Savage Opress. That fight in Clone Wars was some of the craziest lightsaber dueling I've ever seen. But he just pulling up on his ex-student like, yeah, you gotta go, fam. And just doing what he had to do. Come on. Darth Sidious handled business when he had to handle business. And that's what it is. So, loved it there. Loved that. But my number 1, come on, guys. My number 1's Anakin Skywalker versus Obi-Wan Kenobi from Revenge of the Sith. You guys know Revenge of the Sith is my favorite Star Wars movie of all time, and you guys should know this is my favorite fight of all time, and it is the best fight of all time. This is a hill that I will climb. I will climb Mount Everest and yell this with no oxygen that this fight is better than any other fight in Star Wars history, because this is what it was. This broke the Jedi, gone. The Galactic Republic, gone. What is left? It's Obi-Wan trying to convince Anakin that, hey, there's still a path out of this. And Anakin's like, no, I'm Darth Vader. And this was the fight right here to determine, again, the future of the galaxy. Obi-Wan won, but Darth Vader also won. I'm going to let y'all hang on to that one. That's all I'm going to say. But that's my top 10, guys. I want to know what your guys' top 10 lightsaber duels of all time are. Let me know in the comments. We are going to move on to our Jedi of the Week, Kit Fisto. He was a Natolian Jedi Master from Glee Aslam. He was known for his cheerful personality and optimism. He was a general in the Clone Wars. He was a master of Form 1 Shai Cho, and he's one of the best duelists in the Order. He was a great underwater fighter due to the fact that he was born on basically a water world. He was a hero, and he was a hero and very brave. He led from the front. He lost his ex-apprentice, who became a Jedi Knight, Nadar Veb, against General Grievous in his lair, unfortunately, whatever. And he was one of the 4 Jedi Masters to go arrest Palpatine, and also one of the first casualties of Order 66, technically, due to the fact of him dying to Palpatine. At least he lasted longer than his other 2 compatriots, whatever the case may be. But Kit Fisto, his lore is pretty cool. I like I've always liked Kit Fisto. He was very appealing. He was a good Jedi, and it is, unfortunately we didn't get to see much more of him after Revenge of the Sith. But yeah, Kit Fisto is our Jedi of the week. So let's go. We are at the end. We are at the end of the episode. Usually this is around the time where I tell you guys the future and everything like that, but due to the fact of the matter is that next week, my next episode next week, I have an episode next week. I just don't know exactly what I want to talk about yet. I don't know what I want to talk about yet, just because like I have so many ideas. I have so much stacked up and everything, and then I'm still working on my fan fiction, so I have that to go off of as well. I just have a lot of like Star Wars stuff. Like I have it all written down. And here's the thing, guys. I don't know if you guys know this, but I write down everything I talk about, like all my content, like everything. I write it all down. Like I'm a writer, so everything is very. I do research. I take like a day, 2 days, maybe 3, just to do research on topics that maybe have not that has eluded me or whatever. Basically, doing what a Jedi does research and meditate on it, or whatever the case may be. But hey, like I do this for you guys, for the community, to make sure that I'm talking correctly, whatever the case may be. So this week, this upcoming next week or whatever, I don't know what exactly I'll be talking about, but I think I have a inkling of an idea, but I'm not going to give you that hint. I'm just going to surprise you guys when I drop episode 9 next week and be like, here you go, 9. Can you guys believe it? Can you guys believe we are on episode 9 though? Like, that is insane. Like, 8 episodes in, we haven't even scratched the surface. That's the other thing. There's so many stories that I can tell. There is a lot of stuff I can go through, and that's just kind of like the situation at hand. Like I have a lot. So I have a lot in my head and everything like that. So if you guys want me to talk about a specific Jedi, a specific fact that you guys know, anything you guys want me to talk about in the video, whatever the case may be, you can drop those in my comment. You can DM me. I'm on TikTok. I'm on Facebook. I'm in Discord. Whatever the case may be, you can always ask me. I will always be here for it. I am the Grand Master for a reason. So there's that. But again, guys, I love what I do. I love each and one of you guys, especially you guys that are watching me. Thank you again. I truly appreciate it. The Holocron Radio is growing. We are growing. I'm hoping to hit 200 more followers by next week. That's going to be my goal. Is to be at 1,000 followers on YouTube, and hopefully have at least 30 to 40 follower streamers on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And I'm working hard. Posting, and I just want feedback. If you guys need anything, let me know. I'm always here for you guys. So thank you guys again. You guys have been awesome. You guys are always awesome. I I cannot thank you guys enough. I truly cannot, from the bottom of my heart. Thank you guys for being loyal followers of the Holocron podcast. I am your host, Grandmaster Jordan, and may the Force be with you always. And good night.